Let's welcome back Terry Murphy. Terry.
All right, Terry.
Hi, my name is Terry Murphy, and I have to warn you, I get very excited. I'm going to read you a book, and I get excited when I read the book. I can't help myself. This is based on something called the Soulful Forest. The Soulful Forest is kind of an internal dialogue for us trying to, it's like our own internal spiritual barometer. It's about mental health and emotional health. And we tell this to schools all over the state of Connecticut. The Soulful Forest, the only way in is through the Garden of Gratitude, because we know all good things start in gratitude. We encourage children to go to the top of Mindful Mountain. On the top of Mindful Mountain is where you learn to separate, where you learn to stay in the here and now. You don't worry about the future and you don't lament the past. Sometimes in life we have to come down the river of resilience. The river of resilience is where we learn to deal with pain and loss and grief. We always end up down at the pondering pond where we can see our reflection and see what we've learned along the way. Many times during the day we have to go to the field of forgiveness. In the field of forgiveness, we learn to laugh, L-A-F, love, accept, and forgive one another. When we love, accept, and forgive ourselves, we can love, accept, and forgive others, and the whole world would be laughing together. Many times during the day, I have to go to the tranquil tree. I sit underneath the tranquil tree, and that's where I learn to get space between how I feel and what I choose to do and say. Once we teach that to kids, we're going to teach it to politicians. I think that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Sometimes we go over to Camp Kindness, which is where we learn to speak to one another with civility. One of the places here is called Diversity University. And when Trump did the Muslim country ban, it made me crazy. So I knew I had to do something. So my sister, who's an English teacher for 40 years, she made sure that everything in this was correct. And then I had befriended some people at the Newtown Mosque, the El Hadaya Mosque. And there was a little girl there named Miriam. And Miriam said, I can help you write that book. So it was 2 old Christian women and a young Muslim girl, and we wrote this book, and I would like to read it to you, but I warn you, I will get very excited. And you can kind of go down there and you can see the pictures if you want. Okay, this is Soulful Sidney Explores Diversity. Sydney and her dog Max, there you go. Sydney and her dog Max saw new neighbors next door, and Sydney tells Max, I hope there are kids like before. Wondering together who they might be, they count parents and a girl, a family of 3. Eagerly, Sydney runs on ahead, but cautiously, Max takes a little longer to tread, for covering the girl's head is a scarf of dark blue, and Max is suspicious of anything new. Just to let you know, the dog represents fear. I guess you probably picked that up. He started to growl, fear raising his hair, baring his teeth through a menacing glare. To protect this young girl with skin so fair, Sydney clearly warned Max, don't you dare, which is kind of our role. This is what we do here at Justice Southbury. Beneath the blue scarf were chocolate brown eyes and a smile so sweet it would be hard to disguise the warmth and the kindness when her friendly voice called to Sydney, who had become completely enthralled. She said, my name is Sydney, and my dog, who seems rude, is Max, whose fear sometimes ruins his mood. Nodding, the girl said, a hijab can seem kind of strange, but talking about it helps people and dogs to change. You guys still with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Petting Max to soothe him, Sydney said, help me understand. And the girl with the big eyes held out a friendly hand. My name is Miriam, and if you come beside me to sit, I'll share my lunch with you and tell you all about it. Thank you so much, replied Sydney, feeling happy, and even Max stopped being mean and snappy. While Miriam explained the hijab upon her head, they took time to relax and together break bread. As they sat under the shade of the giant oak tree, becoming good friends, this party of 3, Miriam said, Muslims aren't about hocus pocus. Character, dignity, and respect are our main focus. I wish there was a place where we could all learn about religions and cultures and all kids get a turn. Sydney exclaimed, maybe if we look, we'll find such a place where there's regard for all faiths and respect for each race. You can imagine they're going to be going into the Soulful Forest. I'm not blowing up any of the surprise for you. That's where they're going. And so Sydney asked Miriam to join on a quest to put their theory of acceptance to the test. Through the garden gate, the answers were near. Little did they know it was crystal clear that by adopting the right attitude, they could enter into the garden of gratitude. Counting their blessings as the gate opened wide, Sidney and Miriam became each other's guide. They found the entrance by being grateful and kind on this journey to a place that could quiet their mind. With awe and respect through the garden they wander until they find a pond where they can ponder about the world they want to create, a world of understanding, not of hate. At this pondering pond, they see their reflection that's free of prejudice, hostility, and rejection. At the field of forgiveness, they pause to assess what has made this world such an unpleasant mess. It's there that they realize in order to live, people must be willing to overcome and forgive and come to an agreement that this world is a place to fill with compassion, kindness, and grace. Arm in arm as they travel to their destination, they realize the value of how education will help them to spread harmony and peace and convince all people that hatred must cease. They avoided Camp Chaos at Bellyacres Farm, where everyone seems constantly alarmed and attached to screens, I'll add. Under the tranquil tree, they sat and got quiet. Even Max settled down and decided to try it. Serene and calm in a meditative pose, these girls relaxed with their eyes gently closed. This moment of silence was all they would need for the girls to accept that they must proceed. They would soon understand as they continued their tour. They would find the remedy that would help to cure so many of the ills that affect humankind with education, respect, and an open mind. Oh my goodness, this is my favorite part. Rounding the corner, such a sight they did see. Children sharing and playing and laughing with glee. Kids of all faiths and color of skin, yet treating each other like they were kin. Diversity University was the destination where Sidney and Miriam stared in fascination. They saw Christians and Muslims and Jewish kids too, Buddhists and Taoists as well as Hindu. Catholics and Protestants and Baha'i, there was no way that anyone could deny that peace and harmony had been found with acceptance and kindness all around. This place is not depicted on any map or chart. It ultimately resides in each person's heart. Your own compassion can always be found if you keep your mind open and just look around. Be grateful for the differences as we learn to accept why it's more vital to include than it is to reject. People whose background is different from yours and whose stories and beliefs you could explore. And when people find love in a world of hate, loving kindness is the language they create. And that is Soulful Sidney Explores Diversity. And it's, thank you. We have started something called the Soulful Grandma Brigade. I live at Heritage Village, and a whole bunch of grandmas. We get very excited about going into schools, a lot of retired teachers. We've created the Soulful Grandma Brigade, and we go into third grade classrooms and we read the book, and we've got music that goes with this by Disney composer David Friedman. So we have a whole presentation, and it's been very well received, and the Connecticut Community Foundation gave us a small grant to pay for the books and pay for that kind of stuff. And I have presents for all of you. Can I give you presents?
Oh, I like presents.